The comic that not a lot of people talk about is Image Comics' War Heroes by Mark Millar, Tony Harris, and it was really released with a lot of fanfare, but then kind of vanished. What happened to it? Hey everybody, this is Perch. One of the titles I think that was really highly anticipated back in the ancient times of 2008 was a little title called War Heroes, and this was Mark Millar's kind of what he would do during what the Ultimates 3 would have been if Brian Hitch and Millar would have stuck around. Instead, we got Jeff Loeb's Ultimates 3, which revealed that Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were in an incestuous relationship, and so anyway, so War Heroes comes out. Mark Millar is, I'd say, red hot at that point. He had Civil War coming out, and Kick-Ass, and Wanted, the Ultimates. I think you could make a strong argument that in 2008 he was the biggest writer in comics, certainly in the top three, and you could make a strong case. He was a major seller at that time. And so he teams up with Tony Harris, which was at a pretty solid run. He had come off of Do Machina, which was a Vertigo comic that was really, really popular as well. And so it was kind of a dream team in a lot of cases. And issue 1 hit, and it did 30,000 copies, which for an Image comic coming out of the gate is respectable. And the basic idea was it'd be a 6-issue limited series to start, and then there were some comments that it would get an ongoing series at some point with another artist. So the plot is basically set in the wars going on in Afghanistan and Iraq. And there's a detonation of a bomb in Washington, D.C., and so they institute martial law in the U.S. The American casualties mount. It's kind of a Vietnam situation. People are unhappy with the war. Their standing as a world is reduced because of the recession and everything going on. So the military starts giving pills to the soldiers, which makes them into superpower characters. They can fly, they have strength and everything else. And this basically tips the war in their favor. However, it also brands the U.S. as a dangerous nation who's using these superpower abilities to really cause havoc. So then what happens is some people basically steal the pills and sell them off to foreigners. But the thieves don't really know who they're selling it to, and then finally it's revealed it was Al Qaeda who bought them, and Al Qaeda goes and captures some of the military, and they're about to do a big public execution, and it's a very gritty war story with powers. So the first 2 issues come out more or less, and then about a year goes by, and the 3rd issue comes out. So extremely late. And then right about that time when the 3rd issue comes out, it's the announcement is revealed that the comic has been optioned to Universal, and that comic production is going to resume because now they have this movie on the line, and it's Millar is going to serve as an executive producer, and it's going to be a big deal. This is before his deal with Netflix, which I think might play into where the story is going. But anyway, it is, again, people are very excited by it. It's got a big kind of pitch, and Millar is kind of making his way out of Marvel more or less at this time. I mean, there's just, he's doing more and more independent work. Kick-Ass is doing very, very well. And so what happens? Well, what happens is nothing happens. Issue 4 is meant to come out, but never does. And the 3rd issue kind of ended at a cliffhanger right in the middle of the 6-issue run. And Tony Harris was getting blamed for a lot of this. People were saying, well, Tony Harris is always late. Tony Harris this is probably him. He's holding up the show, especially if there's a movie in the line, then, it's got to be him, because Millar would not want to, he wouldn't be messing with the ability to have a movie. So that all sounds good, but then finally, as people start to harass Tony Harris more and more, he kind of snaps and says, "Look, I can't draw comics when I don't have scripts. I don't have any. I'm sick of it." He's pissed, and he kind of encourages people, go off to Mark Millar's site, Millar World. I'm never going to get that straight in my head. Anyway, go over there, go to the message boards, and start harassing him. And that's what you should do. Now, Millar World doesn't exist anymore, really, as a website, and certainly message boards, so you can't do that. But this title is in kind of, permanent unknown, permanent hiatus. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. So, what does all this mean? Well, here's where speculation comes in, and at some point I hope to interview Mark Millar, and I want to ask him this. I think that while there was a lot of excitement around the story, a lot of time has passed, the national mood has passed as well, and if Universal has the rights optioned, and Millar's got to deal with Netflix to kind of pick up titles, then the enthusiasm, I would say, to do more with Universal to really push on that project is probably lower, because your bread is buttered with the Netflix deal. This War Heroes may be in some kind of weird limbo. I don't know, and it may have been said somewhere, but I don't believe it has. That maybe this title, the rights came back, or Universal's let it go. I'm sure there is news out there somewhere. I was looking for it but can't find it. So this title is basically kind of just ghosted. Nobody really talks about it anymore. It's completely MIA. And Millar, of course, has moved on to do other things. He should enjoy Jupiter's Legacy here toward the end of the year or early part of next year, which is going to be the first kind of big Netflix show that he's helming based off of his own work. And so that's really, and then he's got a million titles behind it. He's been very successful with those other books. So the idea of coming back to War Heroes seems like a lost cause at this point, particularly since it's been now more than 10 years since we've seen an issue. And does the comic industry have an appetite for Iraq, Afghanistan super soldiers and fighting Al-Qaeda with powers? I don't know. I don't know. At any rate, the initial reception was, I would say, generally positive, although some saw it as kind of Millar going to excess, that maybe the editorial guidelines that he had to live in under Marvel for the Ultimates was a good thing, because there was, people getting blasts out of the sky and, full-scale nudity and other things. So it was like, I'm not sure people were really it was mixed. I'll just put it that way. It was a very mixed title. But me being a completionist, I would love to see it finished, particularly since if it's a 6-issue limited series, we got 3 more. Come on, can you guys just get together and get it done? But that's the basic story of War Heroes. It's in limbo. My personal judgment is that it's going to be in limbo forever. I don't think anybody's ever coming back to this comic, and it'll be one of those things that kind of just quietly goes away. Well, I hope I'm wrong, but yeah, that's what I think. What about you? Did you read War Heroes? Are you excited by it? Would you like to see that title return? Or do you not care? Is this all news to you? You've never heard of this book, but it sounds interesting. You want to check it out? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter or Facebook at Comic Perch, and thanks for listening.